everyone. Welcome to the Iconic Dollcast. My name is Sage, your host. Welcome back to another episode all about dolls. Today I have Chad, or Chadmarvelous, on the show, and we're going to talk about a lot of things, especially Chad and I have a great conversation about like the thrill of doll hunting and like being at flea markets and that whole atmosphere of searching for dolls. I had so much fun with this, and I think you guys are going to relate to it so much. Obviously, we talk about much more, but it was a really great conversation. I cannot believe August is already more than halfway over. What is it? Today I'm recording this on the 21st. It's gone by so fast. And just a reminder, everyone, I am getting ready for my fall break. I just realized the other day that I think I have put out an episode every week, minus maybe like one or two, every week since February. And I usually do not go this long without at least one extended break, but and obviously I have extended the summer episodes through August. This is usually when I'm off. I have one more, let's say, traditional episode coming next week. And then I'm also working on a pretty fun deep dive to celebrate the 3rd anniversary of the show. I can't say too much, but I am having a blast working on this project. And I just want to say, obviously, thank you guys so much for sticking with me through this. I'm having so much fun. We are going to jump into the interview. As always, please follow me on Instagram at iconicdollcast or Britney Spears Custom Dolls. Follow me on TikTok at Britney Spears Dolls. I also have a YouTube that I'm not really on very often. I just do a lot of scheduling with posts. But if you want to check me out there, it's at Iconic Dollcast. And here is my interview with Chadmarvelous. Okay, guys, today I have Chad on the show, and we're going to talk all about doll collecting and our doll journeys and so much more. Chad, thanks so much for chatting with me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm actually really excited for this.
Yay! So before we get into dolls, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So I'm an elder millennial. I am a doll collector. I've become kind of more of a doll hunter, I think. I have a YouTube channel, and I share my collection. I share my hobbies on my YouTube channel. And I think the thing I'm like most known for recently, at least, is doll hunting. I do a lot of flea markets, antique shops, vintage toy stores, stuff like that. And I bring people with me and just kind of show my my adventures. I'm also a huge Disney fan, so I'm a Disney gay. I tend to go to Disneyland like once a year on average. There have been a couple times where I got an annual pass and I've gone like multiple times throughout the year, but I spend a lot of time there. And I started doing doll reviews from Disneyland. So as they come out with like the new classic Disney dolls, like all the Disney princesses and everything, I will get them while I'm at Disneyland and open and review them there in Disneyland. And I do have like a whole playlist of that just because I didn't really see a lot of people doing that kind of thing. So I was like, I want to do that. Kind of combining my two favorite things. So there's a lot more. We could go on and on. I could just sit here and talk about my whole life, but that's probably me in a nutshell.
Love it. I always say Disney does the best versions of their own dolls. I know Mattel has the license again, and they're doing some pretty cool things, but like you can't beat like Disney Store and Park dolls. They're just always spot on. And I think they make it so it stays that way. And I love that.
Oh yeah. I think that's like in their contract with Mattel. They're like, don't do better than us.
For sure.
But the one thing they can fix is the hair. They use polypropylene and other hair fibers that are not as great. And Mattel has been using saran for some of them. And I much prefer saran, but, definitely the likeness is definitely there for sure.
Looks like it popped right off your screen. So did you grow up playing with and collecting dolls?
Playing with, yes. Not necessarily. I didn't really start actively collecting until I want to say like probably 2014-ish, maybe a little bit before that. But like growing up, I definitely played with them. I was your typical little gay kid that everybody knew was gay before I knew what gay was. I was big into My Little Pony, and I even have like, and I'll send you some of the pictures. Like I have pictures of myself that like my grandparents or my parents took of me with my ponies. Like I had ponies when I was like, ever since I was probably like 2 years old. And I was always interested in quote unquote girls' toys because I like hair play. So I was always interested in anything that had hair, anything I could put in a ponytail or a braid. I was down for it. I was never allowed to have Barbies as much as I wanted them. Not that I wasn't like forbidden to play with them necessarily, but like I'd ask for them for my birthday and I never got them and stuff. But I had a lot of cousins and like neighbors and friends and stuff. So I got to play with them all the time. I remember playing with the original Tycho Ariel when she came out. Yeah. So one of
that was my first doll ever. Yeah. I still have her.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, definitely like the Disney stuff. Cause like the original, Jasmine from Aladdin, that was another one. Those two were some of the first ones, and Pocahontas, because I was, you know, like at that age of the Disney Renaissance. So a lot of those were the ones I played with. And yeah, just, I mean, kind of like throughout my childhood, I'd play with them. Sometimes I would sneak them and I would hide them in my room so that way I could play with them when nobody else was watching, you know, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm, of course.
But yeah, so that it wasn't necessarily like a collecting thing. It was definitely like a kid wanting to play with toys.
Of course. What makes dolls so special to you?
That's a hard question, kind of. I just like them. No,
that's fine.
Really, it's the hair play, I think, is a big draw for me, which is why I'm so big into doll hair. I mean, I have a whole like doll hair guide on my channel where I kind of like go through the different hair fibers and stuff, so you can kind of identify them, because a lot of people would ask me about that. I just like playing with the hair, but I was always into imaginative play, so like I was definitely that kid that would go out into the backyard and then run them around the backyard like they're like flying or like, you know, whatever, climbing a tree and stuff. Like I was that kid. Like I was very big into imaginative play. I think as an adult, it's different. It, you know, like I think dolls are kind of special for me. They've kind of shifted more into little art pieces, although I do kind of find myself sitting here like posing them and making them look pretty and stuff like that as well. But
of course.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of that imaginative play, and like they're like I said, little art pieces, I guess, you know.
100%. Do you ever get into rerouting?
Oh yeah. I don't make time for it, but I definitely do. I have several dolls that I have rerouted, and I literally under my desk right now, I have a trunk that's about, I don't know, like 1.5 feet long and 1 foot wide, and it's full of doll hair from dollyhair.com. Not sponsored.
Not sponsored.
Yeah, definitely not spot. However, dollyhair.com, if you're listening, I'm willing. No, I get into my little kicks where I'm like really into something, and then I like kind of go overboard. So like I've bought a lot of doll hair. So
I feel like with I don't know if you know this, I make custom Britney Spears dolls. Do you know about those?
Yes. Okay. I definitely follow your other Instagram as well. I always
check because I reach out to everyone on the podcast page. So I'm like, I don't know. And I like, sometimes I won't even bring it up. And then they're like, wait, are we going to talk about this? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But I feel like I'm always rerouting with the Britney dolls always. And like a lot of people are like, oh, I love it. It's so therapeutic and blah, blah, blah. And that's great. For me, I don't feel that way. I think at this point, after you reroute 1,000 Britney Spears dolls, it's just like, I hate it, but I have to do it, obviously. And it makes a difference. Yeah, it makes a difference. So it's like, oh, I guess I'll do it, you know, but it is one of those things that when it comes to at least custom designing things, it's probably my least favorite part of what I do, but it's also like one of the most special parts. People are always like, this is the best doll hair I've ever seen. And I'm like, well, that's good, I guess. It just took a long time and it's very repetitive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I definitely admire your work, I have to say, because I think I actually came across your Britney Spears Instagram probably, I think, before I found the Iconic Doll Cast because of your other Instagram.
Okay, great.
So yeah, so because I, you know, like I'm definitely like, into the Spice Girls, Britney Spears doll. Like, like I'm definitely into those way more. I'm more of a Spice Girls fan. I'm a Spice boy, but I absolutely love Britney. So, that was one of the reasons that I started following you in the first place, was because of those. So, but I for the amount, you have so much patience. Like I have all this doll hair that hasn't been used, and I just look at you and I'm like, all the pictures and stuff. It's like, eventually I'll get to doing that. Maybe, hopefully, I'd like to.
You will.
But yeah.
I love the Spice Girls too so much. Such a big part of my life. But that kind of brings me into my next question. So, like, I know Disney is big for you. Obviously, we've got Barbie. Like, what else do you collect? Like, what's on your radar right now when you're collecting dolls?
So my number one has always been My Little Pony, and like specifically, like the first three generations are the main ones that I collect. I do collect all of the generations of the official Hasbro My Little Pony, but my favorite is the first generation from the 80s. Is just, that's what I grew up with, and it's just my personal favorite, partially because of nostalgia, but I just really like the way that they look, and that they did several different characters rather than more recently it's about having a like core set of characters, and they just released multiple toys of that character. I felt like more collectible back then, when it's like each character got their own pony. So I really like the original ones. I'm also into, like, my favorite doll line is probably Ever After High.
Okay.
I love the posability. I really like the construction of the dolls, and I know a lot of people don't like their faces because they look like the moon face or whatever they called it back in the day. But I like it. I think that it's really cute. It's got kind of a signature Mattel design to the way they do the eyes and everything. And I really like that. Plus they're fairy tale characters, so that's always fun. I do collect a lot of different things, but I think it can be kind of like boiled down to like My Little Pony, Barbie, Disney, and then like Monster High and Ever After High. Those are like the main things that I do collect. So
awesome. Now let's get into the doll hunting thing. So I too am very out there. I went to the flea market yesterday. We have a really big outdoor flea market here, and it's kind of overwhelming. So I only tend to go like 2 or 3 times during the summer. So yesterday was one of my trips, and almost every week I went to a thrift store today. I don't know if it's the same way for you, but where I live in Broomfield, Colorado. Like, there's thrift stores everywhere. So mostly on Saturdays, I'll go out and I'll go to about like 8 to 10 of them and then do all my stuff, because I got to get a lot of the stuff for either like the Britney dolls or my personal collection. But doll hunting, it's a big part of our lives, right? And so I want to talk to you about that. Like, where are you going? What are you doing? Like, let's just talk about it all. What's stressful? What's exciting? Just tell me everything.
Oh, so much. So I love doll hunting. Sometimes I almost love the thrill of the hunt more than like the actual when I get the stuff, the haul. But I don't have as many, like I have thrift stores but they're all the chain Goodwill, basically, like it's that. And I don't have a lot of luck there. And I think it's because like I've had people in my comments recently, like there's been people who work for Goodwill or whatever, and they say, oh, if there's anything good, they don't sell it. They don't put it on the shelves. They send it to be sold on their website instead, because they can make more money that way, which makes sense, I guess. But anyway, I don't go to Goodwill that often. I will from time to time, and sometimes I'll find like something, but I don't have a lot of luck. I've only just recently found a few other thrift stores in my area that are not Goodwill specifically. There's like a few smaller thrift stores, but most of them are all like furniture and clothing. So it sounds like I need to come out there to Colorado and do some
what everyone
thrifting
says.
out there.
I don't know what the deal is, because I mean, I just found like astronaut Barbie from like the 80s today. I don't know. And our big thrift store chain is it's not a Goodwill. We have Goodwills here. I don't go there because it sucks. It's called the ARC. And there's, like I said, there's like 10 of them, like within, like, I mean, it takes me about 3 hours to do the whole,
right,
like the rounds or whatever. I mean, the biggest question people ask me all the time is like, how the hell do you have so many Britney dolls? And it's like, of course you've got your online markets and all that stuff, but I don't know if like her doll was just really popular here. I really don't, but I find them all the time.
Right.
All the time. And everyone's and like I'm really into American Girl dolls. And so I've had a lot of really, really amazing luck with that at thrift stores. And people are always like, I gotta come to Colorado. And I would agree because apparently like our thrift scene is pretty cool here. I don't know if people are just too stoned to care what they have, so they just give shit away. But
Maybe.
and you tell me if it's the same for you. I feel like also it's like I don't always go home with a million things. It's kind of hit or miss. Like you have to, I always tell people like consistency is key because people will be like, well, I went to the thrift store and I didn't find anything. And it's like, okay, well, okay. But that happens to me too. Like you just have to keep going back. Right.
Right.
What's like the best thrift find you ever found?
Ooh, well, it's going to take me a second to think. When it comes to thrifting, I feel like specifically at thrift stores, I don't think I found anything too wild necessarily, but I have found some good Barbies that like were in good condition from the 80s and stuff like that, that I've cleaned up and they end up looking really good. Like my Peaches and Cream Barbie, I finally found Peaches and Cream. She had a broken neck and everything, but I was able to repair that and I got it for a really good deal. I think I find better luck in my area at flea markets. That's where, yeah, for me, it's not so much the thrift store. I mean, I did recently realize, like, I kept seeing people in other places going to Savers or I think it's called, I forgot the name of it. They have another name in some other states, but it's the same chain. But I realized there's a Savers that's about roughly 45 minutes to an hour drive away from me. So I started going there, and that one's dangerous because every time I go, I find a handful of Barbies from the 90s and stuff. So I have good luck there, but nothing too wild. But going to the flea market though, that's when I've actually found some really good stuff. Because I mean, it's always different. You never know what you're going to find. I think there's just more sellers in one concentrated area, and I've gotten some vintage My Little Pony that if I was to get it like on eBay or something like that, I'd have to pay roughly like upwards of like $30, $40 or whatever. And they sold it to me for like $1.50. Mm-hmm. So I think when I'm able to get a really good deal and save myself from some money, finding it by going out and walking around and doing the footwork and finding it, that to me is way more rewarding. It doesn't have to be like a super wild, crazy find, but just, I don't know. It's one of those, especially because like My Little Pony I'm going to talk about My Little Pony a lot today, but that's one of like my favorites. So like when I do find it, it's really exciting for me internally.
Oh, I bet. I feel that. And like the best thing for me, at least about flea markets is like generally the people that are there are not looking for the same thing that I am. I don't know, and so it's like I especially like, because, at flea markets, it's just kind of like a clusterfuck of just people's stuff, right? And it's great. I love it. But a lot of the times the dolls are not like a focus of these, because these people just want to get rid of their shit, right? That's how the flea markets work. And I feel like, I mean, just because the flea market we have here is so overwhelming, I only go a few times. And again, you want to give it time so like that new stuff can come in and whatever. But I mean, I'm going to talk about American Girl a lot today since we're talking about thrift stores and flea markets and stuff. I found a white-bodied Kirsten doll, and that's like one of the original American Girl dolls from like 1986. It's a long story. If you know, it doesn't matter. But they go for like upwards $300, $400, and I would never sell this doll, right? I'm like, oh my God, she was $10. And it's like it's also like you kind of feel bad sometimes. I don't know if you do, but I do sometimes. And I don't feel too bad.
It depends on the person.
It does.
Depends on the seller. But no, I do. Sometimes they'll like offer a price. I'm like, are you sure? But I don't want to say anything. I'm not like trying to pay more.
Every once in a while, if that happens, like, and it's something like, oh, it's 10. Like I gave the chick a $20 yesterday because I was like, it's okay. I don't need change because like but people just don't know what they have. And especially in that flea market environment, just because that's what a flea market is. It's just stuff that's been in people's houses. That's why it's called a flea market. Like, it's stuff that has been in people's houses collecting dust and they just need to get rid of it, and like, while I am really lucky with Barbies and stuff at thrift stores, I just feel I got a peaches and cream doll as well. I found out later it wasn't a peaches and cream doll though.
It's not a real one.
She just had the outfit, and I was like, okay, well, she is now.
That happened to me with Crystal Barbie.
I don't even care. And we'll talk about social media in just a little bit. But she was $1. I was like,
nice.
You've got to be kidding me. Okay, like, great, take my money, and it is, like I said, the atmosphere of a flea market is so different. And I do feel like whenever I'm there, like, people are like, really, this is what you're coming to my booth for? And I'm like, yep, here's my money, gotta go,
Yeah.
It's great. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do feel bad because I'm like, oh my gosh, you just don't even know like what I'm holding, and you are selling to me for $10 right now. But like, thanks.
Right. I mean, I also, because it's funny, I make this content, but it's also the main content that I also watch on YouTube, because apparently I can't get enough in person. No, I watch several other YouTubers like Lao Sky Painter, Vintage Gaudi, CJ Dolls. They all are in different areas, like Germany, Switzerland, Southern California, like all these. And like, I'm always like low key jealous because I feel like they find some really good stuff. Cause I've seen like, I think CJ Dolls got a Totally Hair Barbie in box for $5. Like brand new in box, the original. Yeah. So I was like, I need to go to LA. I need to go down there and go, because they have some of the flea markets down there are crazy.
I've heard,
like they look really, but then again, I think I look back on them when I go to the flea markets here, and it's like, I forget after I make the video and post it, I forget what I got. Like, I'm like, I know I have it now, but I forgot that I got that at that flea market or whatever. So I'm sure there's people that watch my videos and think the same thing. But yeah, no, I need to go to some of these other places and check out the flea market scene.
And I mean, the thing is though, like we were saying, it's hit or miss. Like, you could go to this flea market, my flea market, and the day that you go, it just happens to suck,
True.
like, you never know. That's why you have to be so consistent. I promise you, everyone listening, if you've got a flea market or a thrift store in your area, just keep going, and you'll start to find things. It just takes time. So I mean, the doll hunt is fantastic. I love it too. And sometimes you go home with nothing and it's totally fine because I had a great day. But I've definitely had some interesting experiences, especially with like doll drops outside of flea markets and thrift stores. And I'm sure you've had the same. So do you have any like interesting or funny experiences trying to get your hands on a doll that you had to literally go out and search for?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've had a couple, but specifically the one that comes to mind is when the Monster High Boo original Cree Productions came out. And they were dropping at Walmart, which, by the way, a lot of people ask me, how do I know when these things are coming out and stuff? People tell me. I just am fortunate to have made friends with some really like amazing people that are really thoughtful, and they keep me in the loop. I don't know where to look for these things. So it's all hearsay when I find out about these. I don't even know if it's like if the dates are correct when something's going to be dropped in store. So I just kind of like trust and go and hope, keep my fingers crossed. But anyway, people were starting to find those in their Walmarts. I guess they were showing up at Walmart specifically. I drove around to about 10 or 11 different Walmarts in my area, and I started going out to further cities out away from me. And I think some of the cities were like in different directions, like 45, like half hour to like anywhere from a half hour to an hour far away from me. And then I was like, went out to one that's in Yuba City, which is over. I don't think it's 2 hours. It might be 2 hours. I don't remember. But I went all the way out there, and I had like kind of been going around Northern California. And then my mom calls me and she's like, hey, I'm at the Walmart around the corner from our house and they have them. I was like, are you kidding me? I've driven around all of the state trying to find these, and they put them out right around the corner from my house. I did not have to go all whatever.
No, I get it.
Like, Grab them.
Of course. I mean, I too, I think what's so great about social media is like, yeah, there is such a great doll community out there. And for the most part, people are really willing to help each other out, which is awesome. I love it. Like, I mean, there's been many dolls since, but I think one of the most memorable, like, doll hunting summers for me at least was Barbie movie, Little Mermaid, live action, when all that stuff
Yeah.
dropped. And I kind of the same thing happened to me. It was with the Little Mermaid ones, and it was so interesting because they had different, like, you know how stores get like exclusives, and like you can get this one here and you can get this one there. And so I was like, all
Mhm.
right, it's Little Mermaid Day, here we go. I like went out to all of these Walmarts and Targets looking around, only to find out via social media that, oh, the dolls are in the stores, but you have to go to this part of the store. The Little Mermaid dolls are not going to be where all the other dolls are. And I was like,
They are in the doll
are you
section.
fucking kidding me? And then I was like, and this was me. I think I had found a couple just by chance. And I was like, no, I'm getting them all today. And I was like on my way home, and I had gone to like 11 or 12 stores. And then I saw like this thing that someone posted, like, this is where they're at. Went to the Walmart right down the street. There they were. And I was like, damn it, I could have had all of these like 6 hours ago. What the hell? Same thing
Yeah.
with the Barbie movie. And then, of course, that Midge doll that came out in
Oh
January.
my gosh.
Same thing. I went to like 12 Targets. And then the next day, the Target closest to me called me and were like, we got him. And I was like, but I still had a great day.
Oh, see,
That's what I tell everyone.
I say that's nice that you had somebody that was willing to call you about it, because a lot of the employees
I told him
me-
I had a podcast. I was like, I have a podcast about dolls. I've never flexed that way before, but I was like, okay, so like I have this podcast, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, thanks, guys.
Yeah, right. I know. I feel like the employees in my area, they just couldn't be bothered, or they don't really care. Like, not in a bad way, just like in general, it's not something that's on their radar, so they just don't get it. They don't understand. I still never found that doll.
Really?
The only reason I have it is because I have it, but only because one of my subscribers was very generous, and they had gotten 2 of them, and they sent me one. So that's the only reason I have it. Cause I did the same thing. I think I made 2 videos about it, but I went out multiple times, but I didn't want to keep putting videos out of, I'm going to Target, I didn't get anything. I'm going to Target, I didn't get, and it's like, that doesn't make for great content. So, I was like, if I find one, then I'll record it, whatever, but I just never did. But yeah, that was and now the Christie they're doing for the next wave.
I'm not getting
it,
it.
like,
I do too, but I'm not going to be doing that. If she comes to me, she comes to me, but I am not doing that again. I refuse.
The same.
I refuse. I'll go to a couple Targets, but I'm not doing what I did last time. I mean, I went to so many Targets, and at every single Target, I talked to an employee, and I was really respectful. I think I saw a lot of people being kind of disrespectful to Target employees. And again, like, they're just employees. Like, they don't know what the fuck's going on. And when you tell them you need this exclusive Barbie, they're like, huh? And it's like, I get it. Just like, if you find it, let me know. But some people were getting pretty aggressive, and I'm like, you wonder why they didn't call you back. Like, oh my God.
Right.
And I also think like the thing with doll drops, like outside of like the online market and newer dolls, like you said, like sometimes stores will just put shit out before. I don't know that like Target and Walmart have specific, like, you must put them on the shelves at this date. Or if they do, I don't know that the Targets and Walmarts are really going by that rule, because you can find a lot of dolls early, but you can also find a lot of dolls super late, where it's like they've probably just been sitting in the back for months and someone finally got around to getting them out. You know what I mean?
So that's one thing. So one of my first jobs was working at Target and stocking the shelves. I don't know if it's still this way. It probably is. But a lot of times it would be, when they get those release dates, that it's the go on shelf date, sometimes what'll happen is they'll be ahead of schedule and they'll have empty shelves. So they need to fill them. And they're like, well, what's going to go there is in that box. So they bring the box out, not paying attention to, well, there's a date on it. So that can pop up in stores. But then the same thing is like, if their shelves are full and they're not moving some of this product, it's kind of like you know those puzzles where it's like a grid of 9 squares and one of them's missing and you have to move the squares to put the puzzle together? It's kind of like that. They have to move one thing before they can move something else into that spot. So like they have to make room in their clearance section to get rid of stuff before they can put the new stuff on the shelf. So yeah, that's how sometimes you can get stuff showing up later because they didn't have the space or the ability to put it out when they were supposed to. And that's kind of the exception, not the rule. I think what I've noticed is most of the places are pretty accurate with the dates, but when those random one-off things happen and everybody's like, well, I didn't get it at my store, it's because it was, not necessarily like on purpose.
Totally. And like, and this just really applies to the newer dolls, not when you're thrifting and all that stuff, but like, always check like your Barbie aisle, because once it looks kind of empty, that means that stuff is going to be coming soon most of the time. And what's so funny is like with that Midge doll, I got mine, whatever. 3 months later, I went to the other Target that's kind of close, not as close. And like, they were both there. And this was months and months later. And I'm like, they hadn't moved their product. Right. And so, and I think a lot of people get impatient with that. And I totally understand it. Cause like, especially when you're like, all right, here's my goal today. This is my goal. And then you don't reach your goal. It's kind of a bummer, but I always try to just have a positive attitude, because it's like, well, I guess I had fun, like going around and going to every literal Target in the area. Stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah. Me too. Yeah. And sometimes when you're doing that, you're going to find things like stuff that shouldn't be out yet, or like stuff that you missed out on the first round. So there's always something good to come out of it. But it is what it is. It's the life of a doll collector, I think. And I would definitely say I enjoy the thrift stores and flea markets more, because like you said, you never know. Like, when it comes to like the Midge thing, it's like, okay, there's a possibility she's going to be at Target. Yay. But like when you go to a flea market, you just have to go like ready for anything. And like, I always set my expectations low, and then it gets really exciting when you find something like a 1986 American Girl doll. Anyway, you are on social media, and as we all are, how did you get into all that? Like, when did that all start up?
So I actually had a YouTube channel already. I had created it back in like 2006, 2007-ish. So kind of towards the beginning of YouTube. And honestly, if I was consistent, I might have been more like, because of the type of videos I made, I probably wouldn't be part of the doll world. I would probably be more in the like circles of like Smosh and Shane Dawson and all that stuff back in the day. But I just wasn't super consistent with it. My channel never like took off. I mean, every time I'd post a video, then I'd see growth, but I just didn't post all that often. And then I want to say it was probably in 2015. Around that time, I was getting back in, because there was kind of like a period of my life where I wasn't like paying attention to My Little Pony and stuff. I was way more into video games and everything. But around 2015, I was kind of getting back into it, and I started finding videos of people customizing ponies. Like they'd get the G1 ponies and then turn them into like characters from Star Wars, or like, I don't know, they just, do all these different customs. And through that, I found my Froggy stuff, because she was customizing Monster High dolls. And I remember the exact video it is too. It was one where she was turning an Abby Abominable G1 Monster High doll into a Rainbow Dash Equestria Girls doll. And that is what introduced me to Monster High. And then through that, I found Ever After High. And that is what really like started the collecting portion. Like that, I started looking into Monster High. I was like, I've always been a fan of articulation. I always loved the gymnast Barbies and everything. They're so posable, and it was a lot more fun to play with. So seeing those, I'm like, wow, they're really posable. So I decided I'm going to go to the store and see if I can find a Monster High doll. And I ended up finding an Ever After High. I found Maddie Hatter on the clearance aisle and bought, and that was like my first, as an adult doll collector, my first purchase was a Madeline Hatter. And ever since then, I've been like addicted, like now I'm like collecting. And then when was it? Like shortly after that, I was making videos. I have like my very first doll review on my YouTube channel. I don't remember exactly like how long ago it was at this point, how many years it's been. But when I made that first review, because I saw like other YouTubers like Melissa Hunter, My World, and a few other people that were like doing doll unboxings and reviews. I was like, well, I'm collecting now. I want to do that. I have a YouTube channel. I can do that. So I decided to start making these reviews and unboxing them. And that's kind of how I started this whole journey. It didn't really like take off right away because I think there was like enough people that were doing it and I was not consistent at the time. But cut to like fast forward to like 2020 during the pandemic, everything shut down. At that point, I had like more regularly started doing unboxings and started doing some doll reviews, like going to Toys R Us. And I would make videos about those, but during the pandemic, when everybody was stuck at home, and, you know, like I was working from home and then eventually got laid off because like the company I was working for was like, just let everybody go because of the pandemic and because of what they sold and everything. So I was jobless and on unemployment, but I have my YouTube channel to keep me like occupied. So I started posting videos like weekly. And when I think it was when Rainbow High very first came out, when I got my first Rainbow High dolls, that's when my channel started taking off. So I made the reviews about, I got Sunny, Skylar, and Violet. Those are my first three, and did reviews on those. And then I did like a hair cleaning up, you know, because they were kind of messy right out of the box. And that's kind of what really started it. And I had the freedom from the pandemic. I had a lot of time on my hands, so I was able to start making videos more regularly. And then that's just kind of, you know, fast forward to today, you know, like the growth has just kind of gone from there. So I don't remember what the original question was, but that was my journey.
No, that was perfect. And so, I mean, like I said, with thrift stores and flea markets, consistency is key. And I think with social media, it is too. I do not dive into the world of YouTube. I have a YouTube channel that like everything from the podcast just automatically uploads to, but YouTube is such a crazy place. And I don't have the energy or time to dedicate myself to that because you have to.
Yeah.
I was just talking with someone the other day about how, like, you know, we've got all of the platforms. You got TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all of them. And each one of them is kind of different. And you have to kind of curate all of your content specifically for each one to make it work. And I cannot add another one to that. But with YouTube, I think it's interesting because, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you have to work really hard to get that going because it doesn't just come to you overnight, right? I have a question for you. So what are your thoughts about, as someone who's been doing this for a really long time, what are your thoughts on people who just kind of, how do I phrase this without sounding mean, who've just kind of maybe more recently popped up in the YouTube world and suddenly have 1 million dolls and like, I don't know. I just feel like with a lot of people on YouTube, it's not hard to tell the genuine from the people that really just want attention because they can get it. And I feel like with dolls, especially because of the pandemic, it kind of became trendy, right? To collect dolls. And I feel like a lot of people popped up after that. And it's just kind of like sometimes I watch the content and I'm like, I don't feel the genuine connection here. And so, I mean, I've been making a conscious effort now to bring people onto the show that I felt were super genuine. I wouldn't have you on this show if I didn't feel your content wasn't genuine. Oh. But I have had some people on the show in the past where it's like, I think I just had a 60-minute conversation with someone who doesn't actually like dolls. So,
no.
what are your thoughts on that? On dolls just becoming trendy and people jumping on the bandwagon so they can get 10,000 followers or whatever?
You know, I don't feel like it's necessarily my place to judge other people's intentions. I mean, yes, I have my opinions. Everybody does. Like, we're human, right? My brain works. So I'm going to have an opinion. But at the same time, like, I've been judged my whole life but for so many different things that I don't like to like look at other people and be like, okay, so I don't believe your thought process or I don't agree with that. So like, I'm going to look down on it or, you know, think that you could do better or something like that. I try not to do that just because I don't like it when people necessarily do it to me. However, let's talk. Not I'm just kidding. No, honestly, like, I get it. Like, I know that, like, we're in a weird timeline where, like, like talking, like I was laid off and during the pandemic, I was actually just laid off from my job in January again. So I've kind of put all of my effort into YouTube recently. And like, it's tough right now. Like the job market is not the greatest. And like, people are doing what they can to like, for income or for whatever. But also I think it's just like some people maybe, yes, I will say it, like their clout chasers do exist, but at the end of the day, I mean, you do you. Like, I don't have to subscribe to that. I don't have to like necessarily like put mental energy towards that. Cause like if I see somebody and I don't feel that genuine connection, then I just simply don't watch. There was at one point in time when I would look at I would compare myself to other people. So like on the flip side of it, right? So like I look at, it's like somebody who jumps in and then they are really successful really quickly. And then I would like see like my growth, it's steady, but it's slow, where theirs was really fast. And I would compare myself to them and I would think, what am I doing wrong? But I quickly had to kind of like take a step back and realize like, I can't think that way. I can't compare. Like there are a few other doll YouTubers who are very similar to me, that I had my insecurities about because of this exact topic. But I just realized like, I can't like look at other people. I'm doing my own thing. Like, yes, some of our content is similar. Some like maybe our personality, or we have a lot of crossover with our demographic and with our viewers and everything, but they're doing their thing. I'm doing my thing. I'm just having fun. I'm just doing my hobby. So I can't let somebody else sour it for me. I want to still be able to enjoy it. So I kind of like put on blinders and then I just don't pay attention if I'm not interested. I do know that it is a real thing though, because a lot of people do have comments and I do see the comment section. It's kind of like, this is so random and slightly off topic, but in the furry community I'm not part of the furry community, but there's somebody who came across my feed recently. His name is it Boof? I think he was a gay TikToker. Basically he would do these TikToks where he'd go up and like interview people and stuff like that and say like, are you gay? What's your opinion on this? Like blah, 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 blah. He'd do a lot of LGBTQ content and he got real popular on TikTok, but he recently came out as a furry, and the furry community not hates him, but like he's gotten a lot of hate because he got really popular really fast. And his character, he's only been like doing as a furry, he's been doing social media for like a year maybe, and he's already like, his character is going to be in the new Zootopia movie. Like he's gotten that popular that fast. So a lot of people kind of jumped on the bandwagon to hate him because he got popular real fast. So like this may not kind of like be what your question was about. Like you're probably more focusing on the clout chasing versus like if they just get popular real fast. But like I think if somebody does get real popular real quickly, good for them. Like, I mean, if you're doing something right, you're doing something that people enjoy. And like, I'm happy for you, like whether it's something for me to consume or not, then that's a different story. But whereas if people genuinely are just chasing clout, like you mentioned, to bring it back around to what we were actually talking about with, talking to somebody who like, maybe they don't like dolls and, that's I don't know. It kind of is like when people like go on and buy dolls to resell them. It's kind of in that same vein for me. Like
it's weird,
the
right?
reseller
like,
market's kind of crazy. Yeah, it's wild
weird
right now.
And I mean, and again, like I said, no negative feelings towards anyone. I just do feel like people have taken the trendiness of dolls, and this is something we've been, as a doll collector my whole life. It's like I've always been like told that this was kind of weird, and now it's like not at all, which is fucking great, right? But it's also like, yeah, but you didn't even, I don't know. It's just a weird thing. I always ask my guests this because I feel like everyone has, you answered that fantastically. What a great, very a kind response. And I like that.
Very diplomatic.
Very diplomatic, but it is a thing. Like clout chasing and all that shit is real. And then getting into like I mean, yeah, lots of people buying shit just to resell it, which is so strange. But also like kind of a part of any kind of collecting community, like scalping and shit. Like I know a lot. I mean, obviously scalpers suck. We don't like them. It doesn't, it doesn't help anyone, but unfortunately, like the scalping community, I think does keep the doll business alive. And it's a hard thing to like.
Really, you know what? I never really thought about that, but I think you're kind of right. Like, I think that there's actually some like merit to the fact that like if the scalpers didn't exist, some of these doll companies or doll lines may not be as successful as they are, like because they sell out. That's why everybody's like, oh, Mattel, this, MGA, that, and they need to do something about like what they're not going to do anything. They're making their money. They're putting these items out. They're selling. They're making the money that they had projected, and the numbers are meeting what they wanted. So they're not going to do anything about it. They might do a little here and there to kind of help. Because, there's part of it they do want to have, because if the fans start hating it and stop buying it, the scalpers stop buying it, they stop making money. So there might do some, but if they're making their money at the end of the day, really it's just, as a customer, if you don't want it to happen, don't buy from the scalper.
Totally. Totally. And the thing about scalpers is like, unfortunately, what it does is it increases the value of things. And when companies like Mattel and MGA are seeing that people are willing to pay $300 for a doll that they charged $40 for, they know that the next round of dolls that they put out that are maybe the same brand or whatever are going to sell out immediately because everyone's just going to want to buy them to scalp them. And like you said, they don't care. They sold out all their Mean Girl dolls, they're going to put out more, and they know that people are going to buy them because a lot of people are going to try and resell them. And I'm not saying it's right. It's definitely frustrating. But people don't need to be going on Instagram being like, I reported all these accounts for scalping, because it's like, you're not going to do anything, buddy. Like, that's not going to change. And scalping is something that goes a lot. It's not just dolls. It's with any kind of concert tickets, like anything you can think of. And unfortunately, it is just a part of being a collector. And I see a lot of people doing that kind of stuff, but also, bringing it back to the genuine and the people, the clout chasing. It's like, again, a lot of you people bitching about scalpers and shit are the ones who are also going out buying dolls, putting up a YouTube unboxing video of this doll, and then selling it yourself. So it does get kind of confusing with all of that. But again, it's just a part of our life, right? And let me just say, it's not that deep. A lot of people...
They're plastic toys. They're collectibles.
Of course, this podcast is about dolls, and so it's our focus, and dolls are a very big deal. But at the end of the day, and you can have some great conversations with people about things like this, but at the end of the day, it's not that deep, and I just think it's interesting. And I think it's kind of funny sometimes when people have meltdowns over shit where it's like, you don't need every single doll. It's fine. Everything's
true. I do get it though. And can I just say, I love that we're talking about this though. I've had so many like conspiracy theories about this whole process, the chain of like, where the money's going and all that stuff. But no, I get it, because like it can be frustrating. I think some people just have a lot of like, they have big feelings, like, like when you get frustrated, they really get frustrated and they need an outlet of some kind. And I guess that's where it goes, because they want, like when you put it in the comment section, I think a lot of times maybe people are like looking for other people to validate that. They're like, hey, do you agree? This is where my mind is. This is how I'm feeling about it right now. Who else? Like show of hands, who agrees with me? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just sometimes like the way people go about it, it feels like there's just a lot of negativity around the reaction, not just the actual thing that happened. So, that's where it's like, okay, it's time for me to log off for today. Or stop reading the comments, I guess.
Totally. And that kind of brings me into my next question. And so two-parter. So the question is like, what is something about the doll community that you think people outside of doll world don't know or understand? And obviously a lot of people don't understand why. Let's not even go there. But I will tell you, for me, once I got into social media, the biggest thing I learned is that doll collectors, there can be, I mean, people fight. People get into literal like
Oh
wars
yeah.
on Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff. And it was like there is a lot of drama. And I think I'm not doing the correct thing having a podcast to talk about Doll World without mentioning it, where it's like most of the times Doll World is pretty positive and fun, as it should be, as you would expect it to be, but there's definitely a lot of drama as well. And I do try to stay out of that, but I mean, you can't avoid seeing it. So I know it's happening. And so that for me was something that I was like, wow, I didn't even know this. So what for you is like something that people who don't collect dolls or toys might not know about being in this hobby?
And it's so funny, before I say mine, to like kind of touch on that. It's interesting because it's so true that there is a lot of drama. And I think that that's a huge one that like, I mean, I think people like see collecting different things might have its stereotypes, like whether you collect Pokemon cards or whether you collect remote control cars or Legos or baseball cards, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like I think they have different stigmas. And when you see dolls, you see these pretty little plastic Barbies and pretty dresses and whatever. So they, it's got an image, and everything's pink and everything's like whatever. So like the fact that there is not just drama, but like drama, like cutthroat, like straight up like controversies and like, I don't know, just like words being thrown. Sometimes I just have to sit back with my popcorn and I'm like, you know what, I'm not part of it. So I'm just going to kind of see, I want to see what happens, or like, I'll wait till like everything gets resolved and somebody does a recap video, and then I'll just like watch, because then they go through and here's the receipts and everything. But there is a lot of drama in the doll community, and it's kind of wild. I'm so thankful that I'm not part of that though. Like my channel has a zero tolerance when it comes to like negativity and like bullying or any of that stuff. And I don't bring it up in my videos because I want my channel to be a safe space for people who enjoy dolls to just come and hang out. Like that's the biggest thing I say at the end of all of my videos. Thank you for hanging out with me today, because that's what I'm here for. That's what I want everybody to be able to do, because it is just dolls. Like it's not that, like you said, it's not that deep. So yeah, that's wild that you bring. It's one of those, I didn't think about it until you brought it up. But for me, I would say that like what, like a lot of people don't understand about like doll collecting, I think, is why we do it, like why we doll collect. And I don't even know the answer to that, honestly, but it's different for everyone. But, a lot of people have this idea of, especially for somebody like me, like us, we're little boys growing up playing with dolls. Like those are quote unquote girl toys. And you get told that your whole life. And then especially as you get older and you're not even in the age demographic anymore, and you're still wanting to collect them or whatever, people don't understand why. What is your draw towards it? They may have like preconceived notions or like make assumptions or judgments about your character or your intentions, or just being confused in general. I know, like for me, like I still felt like even as recent as, like I said, when I first started buying dolls in like 2015, 2016, I still felt like I had to hide it. Cause like at the time, I'm living with my parents again now, but at the time I was living with my parents then as well. And I would, like, my mom is fine. And I love my dad, and we're on really, really good terms, but like I think he saw it as like a money wasting, like, like you could be putting that money away and saving it for a down payment on a car or something, which, so it's more of a practical thing, but still it's just like not understanding, why do you even want those? Why are you spending your money on those? And like, this is no shade to my dad at all. Like I said, we're on really good terms and I love him. Like we're in a really good place, but I think it was still that mindset until I started making some money from YouTube. Like once I'm making money off of this, now all of a sudden that changes, and it's no longer why are you doing this? Or this is strange. This is outside of the normal. What, you should do something else. It's kind of become what's next? Like what he was excited, when I was telling him, he was excited for me when I was telling him I was doing this podcast. I was like, I'm really excited to do this. And so I was talking to him literally last night about it and stuff like that. So it's like, I don't know. It's just kind of like the mindset changed. And he's not the only one. Like, I feel bad because I don't want to call him out. I'm not like complaining about my dad, but there's been a lot of people in my life that were like that, especially at school. Like as, like a kid, like other kids are like brutal. Yes. And that's a whole other topic. I feel like we could have a second podcast episode about that topic alone. But like teachers in my life, other students, stuff like that. I've had that my whole life of like, why do you want to play with dolls? Why do you want to collect dolls? And now that I'm older, I just I don't care anymore. I've wasted so much energy on it. I'm like, I'm too old for this. I don't care. I'm going to do me. I have my own money. I'm going to spend it how I want. You do you. I'm going to do me. And so I couldn't be bothered to care anymore. So luckily I'm in that mindset. But yeah, no, that I think that was one of the things. And it's like, it'd be nice for people outside of the doll community to like have that understanding, because it's no different than them collecting their tchotchkes or their like porcelain beer stein mugs that they have lined up on their shelf, or their, whatever you collect. Being a collector is you appreciate something and you like to have a collection of it. It doesn't really matter what it is.
Of course.
But yeah, I think it's the same for everybody.
And like, it's such a good mindset to get to, right? Because I too feel like, especially like with the Britney dolls, it's like, I mean, I've talked about this before, but like there was definitely a few friends who were like, why are you wasting your time with this? And it was like, because I want to, I don't know. And for a while, and as an adult, it's like really, it's different, right? Because like, I think also collecting dolls can be seen as like kind of childish or whatever, but it's like, if you only knew like the shit that doll collectors, the wealth of knowledge and just amazing information in all of this. Like, you don't know what you're talking. You have you don't know. And so I've just gotten to a place as well where and like most of the time people are like, wow, that's really cool, but you never know. But I've gotten to a place where it's like, if someone were to ask me that question, it's simple because I want to, because I like it. Like, why does anyone collect anything? Because they like it. So it's right. It's not, I wasn't always like that. I've always been pretty like genuine to myself and like whatever. I played with dolls and all through my life and was like, I don't care if you don't like it, like whatever. But I think when you get to, when you get to be an adult, like other adults who don't understand will kind of question that kind of thing. And I'm just so tired, like you said, I don't need to justify this. It's like, simple answer, because I like it. Why do you collect dolls? Because I like it. Why do you make these Britney Spears custom dolls? Yeah. Because I like it and I want to. Simple as that, and I do think that's something that a lot of people don't understand unless they're in this world. I do think the Barbie movie has helped quite a bit just with people, but that's kind of on a superficial level, so I can't say too much on that. But it's definitely gotten better. But again, like most of the times, people are very cool about it and whatever, but you never know. And I find that anyone who is willing to judge or dismiss someone who does something like doll collecting is probably just a really unhappy person, and unhappy people cannot stand to see people that are happy. And it's just like, well, maybe you should go find a hobby and then you could be happy too.
Maybe you should go buy a doll and play with it for a little
while. Maybe you need a would you like a Barbie? I'll give you one. Yeah.
Right. I have extra. I have too many extras. I will give you 12 if you need them. No, to be fair, I think I was sitting here trying to think as well as like when I was like explaining it, I'm like, why do I like collecting? And I think part of it's fun. Therapy session. This is me like being, let's be honest. Like, I think part of it is the dopamine of finding the dolls, especially. This is why I love flea markets so much, because first of all, they're cheaper, but than new dolls a lot of times. But like when I do find something and I'm able to buy it and I get the haul, there's like a thrill with that. And it almost doesn't even matter what it is, as long as it's something that I do like, the fact that I found something. It's the act of collecting it. Because I've always been a collector too. I do collect Pokemon cards. I had a collection of CDs when I was younger and before streaming was a thing. I only like a few years ago just got rid of a lot of my CDs, but I had like hundreds of CDs, and I collected comic books for a very short time. And I say collect, I literally have like 12 Tomb Raider comics, and that's it. But I think I've always had that kind of mentality of collecting, and I think it's more about that, which is why it's hard for me to say why dolls specifically. I think it's just because I liked them when I was a kid.
Who's your favorite Disney princess?
Oh, why? This is such a...
I have a reason for asking this, so just...
Okay. It's Ariel.
Yep.
It is Ariel. Cool. And
yep.
Yeah.
Same. Yes. And it is mostly Ariel with people that I talk to. And I think like, well, why? Yeah. And it's like, well, first of all, she's an icon. Second of all,
yes,
she loves to collect things, and like I relate to that very much. And
when you said that, I knew you were going to bring that up, and that it's true. She's a collector as well, and I was the target demographic. Like that movie. Well, I was really young when it came out, but that movie came out, and I grew up watching it when I was a kid. So it's hard for me to say any other princess because of that. But she's a collector, and maybe it rubbed off on me.
It did. I'm sure it rubbed off on me as well. And like, if you look deeper at Ariel's story, it's like kind of the story of doll collectors. They have these massive collections, and they're scared to share it with anyone because they don't want to be judged. And like, she doesn't want to be judged for her passions and her dreams or whatever. And I think Ariel is the queen of Disney. And I'm sorry, like Ariel always gets the best dolls, and it works. So
yes.
I knew it would be Ariel. I knew it would.
God, that is so deep. I can't. That's so funny. Like I never really thought about. I never put that together until you saying it just now. That's so funny.
Yep, I love her too. She's my favorite. What do you have a favorite doll of all time? You can name more than one.
Okay, thank you for that addendum. It's so hard for me. It's more like doll lines or whatever. It's more like sections of my collection. It's so hard to narrow it down to one because I like them all for different reasons, and I don't feel like I have the absolute perfect one doll yet. But my favorite doll line is probably Ever After High. I just really like the way the posability, the range of movement for their joints. Majority of them use saran hair. I like the way they look, and they're all fairy tale themed. Like there's a lot. So there is that aspect, but I'm very much, I prefer dolls that are like a Barbie scale. So obviously Barbie, My Scene, Disney classic dolls, like they're all of that scale. That's what I prefer. And I'm mostly like, I'm definitely a Disney person. So like, I really love like the Disney store dolls. Those are some of my favorites. And like you said, Ariel usually gets the best dolls with the best hair and everything. I think if I had to, I'm going to cheat, I'm going to cop out. But if I had to like narrow it down to one, it would be like this My Little Pony here, this tic-tac-toe, because nostalgia, because I had this when I was a kid. My grandma bought it for me. Not this specific one that I have right here, but my grandma bought it for me when I was like 2 or 3, so, and that's what really like, I was into My Little Pony. Apparently it was because my cousin got My Little Pony and I won. So that's how that started, I guess. But it's like, it's not technically a doll, but My Little Pony is kind of lumped in with dolls, I guess, in the children's toy. Yeah. So if I literally had to sell my whole collection and I could only keep one, it would be this My Little Pony because of nostalgia, like My Little Pony in general, but like this one specifically, Tic-Tac-Toe, because of the nostalgia that I have around it.
I love that. And what's the most recent doll you purchased?
Two of them, actually. I got them at the same time. I got these two that I just did a review for them because of Pride Month, but I did the Welcome Committee Frankie from Monster High G3 and the Barbie Dream Bestie Zia that I really, really like. I don't know. I just thought they were really cute, and I wanted to get something rainbow themed, but I knew that I would like them anyway, just because I like the design of both of them. So I ordered them. Those are the most recent purchases, and I think those reviews are up on my channel already. So, definitely by the time this is going up, they're up on the channel. So
love that. Okay, well, Chad, thank you so much for coming on the show and having such a great discussion with me. I had so much fun. Please tell everyone where they can find you on the internet, YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff.
So you can find me everywhere. It's just at Chadmarvelous, and I'm on primarily YouTube, also on Instagram. I have a Facebook page, but I don't really use it all that much. And I have a TikTok. Once again, I don't use it all that much, but every so often I will check in. But those are the main ones, those four: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, all at Chadmarvelous.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun.
All right. Loved that. Chad, thank you so much for coming on the show. And you guys, I'm hoping to have Chad back on the show this fall so he can tell me a little bit about Ever After High dolls, because I haven't really talked about those yet. So would love to do that. Again, don't forget, just one more episode for August, and then I've got a special deep dive, and then I will be off until the middle of October. Thank you guys for spending your whole summer with me. This has been so much fun. As always, follow me on all the things. If you are enjoying the show, please give me 5 stars or leave me a nice review. It really helps. If you are interested in being on the show, please reach out. You can message me on Instagram, wherever, and I will talk with you guys next time.